Hi, and welcome to another episode of eCommerce One. Today's guest is Toma from Sourcing Monster, and we're going to talk about all things Amazon FBA. How you doing, Toma?
I'm doing well, Richard. Thank you very much for having me.
Fantastic. Well, thank you so much for coming on the show. Now, I know we're gonna cover quite a lot of things, but I'm really interested about your backstory. Obviously, I love hearing about how people get into e-commerce and how things happen, and obviously, so I think it'd be good just to introduce yourself and give us a bit of a feel for what you've been doing for the last few years.
Yeah, of course. So my background is really like since I remember myself, since I'm young, I'm always around like the internet and doing some gigs online, whether it's like I started a hosting company when I was 14. Then I had my own content website. It was like photos website. So we would go to schools, take pictures of people, and then just give them like a business card so they can see that, like those parties that you get like a business card or something you can watch and see the gallery for that day. And that was bringing us a lot of traffic. So we would monetize it through Google AdSense and whatever like, display ads that we could put there. So that was when I was young. And since then I was, in the space. I would build websites to people, kind of give them service with ads and basic stuff until I joined the family business, which was in the jewelry and diamond space, where I learned like most of the things that I know today and experience a lot of things that helping me now were in my Amazon FBA brands and business. So joined that family business 2008 and did it until mid 2020. So that's really long time doing e-commerce.
Selling diamonds and jewelry sort of for about 12 years.
Yep. So we would at a factory. I had to manage the factory and people, and at the same time manage the marketing, and it was really demanding. You probably ask yourself together with people, listen, why you left that business? So it's really demanding business, a lot of responsibility. Obviously, you deal with small, items like diamonds that worth millions, and you have to be there 24/7, and it was really demanding. I couldn't really take a lot of vacations or disappear more than a week. And I really, was looking at these people with this, like traveling all over the world, digital nomads, and it was really something I thought to myself, this is amazing. I have the skills, I know about e-commerce, and I can build something that will allow me to live this lifestyle, and it's pretty amazing. So I'm doing this full time since I would say the last 2 years, because I was still having a year and a half that I was still in the other business. Obviously, transitioning is not that easy.
I think that's great. I think I'm really looking forward to this because I love having people on that have obviously got the battle scars from 12 years. Very similar to my story actually. 12. I did about 12 years selling online before I set up the agency. And obviously it's not all plain sailing, it's all, we can all talk about, we did, I think, my headline is, I did about 55 million over about 5 years, but obviously that's the good. And there's some better stuff than that. There's obviously some profit in there, but sometimes it's tough, isn't it? The sort of war, we could compare war stories, but we won't do that on this episode. What I'm really intrigued about is Amazon. And I know obviously that's the reason we've got you on to have a real good chat about Amazon. So, how did you really, obviously from your own store, your own experience, no doubt, you obviously got that experience with selling on Amazon, but maybe just tell us how how that journey's developed over the last few years selling on Amazon.
Yeah. So, at some point, like I said, it was a family business. So at some point I realized that my philosophy and it was my brother that opened this company philosophy are a little different, and we just can't like do this for all my life. So I started to look for other opportunities pretty much to replace what I do. And I did try it on that business, Amazon as well, but it didn't really work well. I heard about Amazon like everyone else, like watching YouTube videos and seeing those commercials of people advertisement like make 2,000 profit a day or 1,000. And I was like, let's check it out. It was really piquing my curiosity, and I did see some legit people that make their money. So I did sit and did the research. What are my skills first? I really sat down and really make a list of what are my skills, what I can do, what I'm good at.
Yeah.
And I was flipping websites before, so I would buy them on Flippa, improve them for a couple of months, their SEO, their own page, like easy wins, quick wins, and that just resell them. But that was at small scale.
Yeah.
Um, and I really made a list, affiliate marketing, flipping websites, SEO, and Amazon FBA. That was like a couple of categories or type of businesses that I explored. And at the end, I decided to go Amazon FBA because I thought that for me, that's the highest chance to succeed and see results relatively quicker than your own store where you have to build really a brand. On Amazon, it's a little different. You could come up with a product and the trust element is already there. You have the trust of Amazon.
Yeah.
People trust Amazon. They don't trust you. So that's a
Yeah.
really big leverage to make
Yeah.
profits quicker than your own website, whether it's Magento or Shopify, it doesn't matter which platform.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I decided to go Amazon FBA, and the really my goal was to make $10,000 profit every month in 1 year to be able to achieve that, and that really happened the last month. And since then, really build my confidence, and I
Yeah.
had different goals, and in general, that's how I started the journey. That was 3 years ago.
Yeah.
Things has been changed, as we all know, and they are changing all over, not just in Amazon. The cost per clicks and bids went high, like some other platforms, I guess. But in the Amazon space, it went a little more dramatically due to more competition.
Yeah.
So people would, including myself, would start to look outside traffic to
Yeah.
bring to your own Amazon listings, whether it's Google, Facebook, some other things. And that's pretty much how I started.
Okay. That's great. So I would say let's just dial down a tiny bit. And I think what we're going to have is we're going to have an element of people that are listening that don't do Facebook. If they are out there. I know they're out there because we speak to them where they've been running Google ads for the last 5 years and maybe doing huge numbers on Google and Facebook, and the opposite is absolutely true as well, more so, I think. So for those that are listening in, give us a bit of a quick overview of what FBA is specifically, because I think obviously there's different ways to sell on Amazon, isn't there? So what is, for those that are listening in, what is FBA?
Yeah, so for those that don't know what is the FBA model, it's basically fulfilled by Amazon. So every order that come in, you don't have to prepare it, ship it, or deal with all the logistics sides of things, including customer service, which is big part of independent platform e-commerce business. I remember that I was constantly talking to people, where's my order, when I will get it, those type of things you can remove from your list, because if they have questions, they talk directly to Amazon and they get updates, and their system is amazing. So you don't have to build all these infrastructures for your own business. You're using them pretty much. And in that's what allowing to sellers like me to really leverage and scale on the things that matter, which is marketing. Just you focus on bring sales, and it's not that simple, because once you grow, you have to really learn about the supply chain, logistics. We all know what's going on right now in the world. I partnered also with the logistic company, so I offer like freight services and shipping from China to the US. So I know pretty much what's going on. It's pretty tough, not just for us; it's for everyone. IKEA, Walmart, they got their own vessels now because of those interruptions. So it's pretty big deal now. And finance, you have to so basically you focus on the things that matter for the bottom line: marketing, finances, logistics, and less about the infrastructure.
So it's obviously quite appealing for different ways. So FBA, you can, if you've got a good product source, you've got a product that sells, you've got to do no customer service, you've got to do no warehousing, which is two of the big costs. You just got to make sure you've got a winner when it comes to a product that's going to sell. What would you say, is there any other reasons why you should do FBA? So obviously you've got no stock. Sorry, you've got no warehousing, you've got no customer services, but obviously the eyeballs and the volumes, I'm assuming, can be straight out the gate pretty strong. Would that be true?
Yes, that's very true. You got already ready to buy buyers in quantities. And I don't have the statistics with me, but if I'm not wrong, it's around 200 million Prime members, and they're very loyal. I do see where Walmart is taking big chunk of Amazon very, very soon. You know, with I myself thought it's going to take them good couple of years, but it looks like in a year or two they are going to catch up a big piece of the market.
Yeah.
Due to their infrastructure. They have an amazing infrastructure of thousands of stores and warehouses.
Yeah.
Comparing Amazon, which is few hundreds, they have
Yeah.
few thousands. So that's by itself, when they're ready, when they're going to build like a good structure for their websites, the online presence, it's pretty bad. Like their seller central and everything is still very glitchy. But once they overcome this, which I don't see that it's going to take them a lot of time,
Yeah.
that's going to be like a big, huge market. But we're talking about Amazon now. And so you have their huge amount of buyers that are ready to buy, and they're buying. The conversion rate is nowhere close to where you bring some traffic to your own stores.
Yeah.
So what's so amazing about it, I love conversion optimization, is that you pretty much you change one little thing and 5% difference, it's a huge difference, because they are already like there to buy, and the buying intent is all over. So that's what I like there. Once you have, and if you have a good winner product, you like, it's definitely gonna kill
Okay.
it.
It sounds so good, doesn't it? It just sounds so good, so,
Yeah.
but I think, I'm sitting here thinking, well, if, so how do you find a gap, if you like, or a category product set that is going to work, and then, making sure it's profitable. So maybe a two-pronged question here, how do you identify a product that's going to do well on Amazon, and is there any tools, software, ways that you would do that? And then secondly, I think, really hone in on the profitability, because obviously the fees on Amazon are quite, as you would expect, if somebody's, taking care of the customer service, somebody's taking, you're paying for that service quite handsomely. I think, it's a short version, it's not like you're paying 2%, you're going to be paying, a fair chunk. So you've got to have a decent margin in the product. So identifying a product and then making sure it's profitable, what would you say about that?
Yeah. So I would say that, like you said, it's all sound nice and cool, and it's just an amazing opportunity. But I think the statistic says that 90% of the sellers just quit in the first year.
Yeah.
So you have, it's very competitive these days. So unlike 5-6 years ago, I wasn't selling on the platform, but from what I heard, it was much easier. Like it was much easier to build your own Shopify store, and the competition on Google Ads was less than today.
Yeah.
So, but still, I think that it's a great opportunity due to the reasons that I mentioned. The problem is, like you said, it's to find a winning product.
Yes.
How you do it? I really always evolve and try new things. I always like the philosophy of to base my decisions on data and see numbers, and really reduce the risks before I get into a market. So you have plenty of tools and criteria that you can filter and do it. We can have, like, I have a 3 or 4 hours videos just on that. And it's a very complicated topic. That's what most people struggle with, right? To find the right product. There are two approaches, I would say. The one approach is, let's go on a big market with demand, with money, invest in really good product, good branding, and just we're ready to lose good few months, but to see the profits later. That's what the bigger players are doing.
So you've got to have a bit of cash flow to be able to do that.
Yes, you need pretty good cash flow to do it. You need at least a few hundreds of thousands just to support this demand by enough inventory. And it's not a cash flow business, it's inventory business. So it's very hard to see money out of here, unlike like some other, e-commerce in general, it's an inventory business. Now, with Amazon, it's even more intense, because you always have to be in stock. If not, it's going to hurt your rankings. And what I like about Amazon, it's those organic sales, not the paid sales. The paid sales is just, it's a tool, a way to send more traffic. But what really matters, it's the organic sales, the sales that you get for free. And that's what we like. And if you can remind me, what was the second question?
So just making sure that the whole process is profitable, because I think, what we're all about on Ecom One and Ecom at One, is no point. We don't, there's a conversation around brand and, and maybe a loss leader for a while, but ultimately nobody can trade and sell something at a loss long term. There's a few arguments there, but we'll park those for now. Ultimately, I want to be able to find products, list them on Amazon, and be very profitable. That's like the golden chalice, isn't it? Obviously, everybody that's like business. When you say 90% of people fail, well, it's probably 95% of businesses fail. So, that's the business we're in. We're in the business of being very good at what we do, as in all our listeners. You aren't going to survive unless you are in that 5%. That is the whole point.
Yep.
So to be profitable, what are some of the things that our listeners should focus on to be profitable? That those little things that people miss because either they're lazy or they don't know. You talk about the research. There's research, and then there's listening to your 5-hour video and doing research as opposed to the 5-minute version. Maybe just ordering a couple of 10,000 of a product, but you've not tested it. Your packaging looks rubbish. It's getting all the details and all those 1%, 1%, 1%, 1%. You're already way in front of everybody else. So
very good question. So the second approach, I just mentioned the first approach where you come with money and you really long-term, just wait a few months. And there is the other approach which I took at the beginning, and I think a lot of beginners will take as well, is just to come into a market where you see the demand. It's not a huge demand, but you see a small demand that you can come and fill the gap with a better product and offer. Usually it's a combination, and then you come and it's relatively easier to get and penetrate and basically get the sales from the leader and going to be profitable very quickly. That's another approach. What I could say to people just starting, or even to advanced sellers like me, because I did fail recently last year with a lot of products, and I learned from it, is that to really be hands-on. Make sure that you have a checklist. Make sure that you work and you check pretty much everything. Once I got successful and was reaching my goals, I got too much confident, I think, and I started to really pay less attention for the small details. And that led me to fail with a lot of products. So really paying attention, no matter where you are in your journey, to the basic things. Make sure that you have the stickers on the packaging. Make sure your packaging is different. Make sure that you actually check your competitors. You have to really do all these steps. You can't really skip it. You skip it, you're going to fail. So really paying attention to details and being hands-on in your business. That's a big tip. Whether it's PPC, sometimes in PPC, you let the campaigns run. You don't look at it for a week or two, but then you see a campaign that overspending with the very high ACOS. ACOS, it's the advertising cost of sales. And you have to really like hands-on in your business, be there. If you don't, things will start to go down.
So I think you've answered it there. My next question will be, so I think, a lot of our listeners, I think majority of them obviously have got, their main focus, not always, will be they've got an e-com store, and that's usually where the majority of the volume is going through. Not always, obviously. But those that are, they're trying to retain that brand on their website and retain that pricing. Now, if they start listing some of their products on Amazon and sending them in for FBA, is there any risk there to damage the brand? If they've got to slash prices, obviously we don't want to slash prices, but to sell an FBA, we've probably got to have a certain price point, haven't we, to be able to sell in the first place? So I guess it depends on the products, but anything you would recommend to people that are already doing really well on their website, but then they want to sell in volume, via FBA as well, would it maybe to test certain products, or is there a certain strategy to approach it?
So I always say that, every niche and category is different. So you have to test, you have to try it by yourself. No matter how many people will tell me that for jewelry, Amazon is amazing. If we don't try, we're never going to know. So it's definitely to realize, it really depends. I'm a big believer in focus. So I always say, like, if you have a successful business and you still see opportunity to expand there, definitely focus there. Make sure that you're maximizing your potential there, whether it's Shopify, Facebook, no matter what you do, and then jump on to the next adventure, because it's going to take away your focus and the results on both things will not be perfect. So I prefer to build something and maximizing the potential in it, then build good system, allocate it to someone else, and move on to the next thing I do. Before if I don't have a good enough system, I can start an Amazon FBA, but don't really put enough focus or attention, and then say, oh, it's not working, or it doesn't work. But I wasn't really prepared and coming to it, with the right expectations. So you have to set what you want. You need to have a clear goal and test it for long enough time. You can't just say, let's try it for how long you're going to try it. What are you expecting to get out of it? You have to be very clear on what you want to get out of this.
Yeah.
And you do that by research. So you research, and let's say your goal is to okay, let's try Amazon FBA for a year. We're going to put this amount of resources, and then see if it's a good opportunity for us. And
Yeah.
like you said, with pricing, it's a little tough because you have the pricing on the platform, and not Amazon now is doing is this you're cross-selling. You have your own website, let's say, or sell it on other marketplace. They have like those bots that check the prices constantly. So a little tip that I will give: don't use the same SKUs. Make sure that you use different numbers or identifiers.
So that it's harder to compare. Yeah.
They cannot really compare because they will take your buy box. Buy box, it wins the add to cart button, and they will if you sell higher than other marketplaces, they will don't show your offer pretty much. So yeah,
got you. That's great. So obviously pricing and figuring out the right price and the right SKUs. Are there any sort of tools and softwares that you would recommend for the listeners to maybe try, invest in, or any sort of recommendation of what's working well for you?
Yeah, so this is in the last few weeks there is a lot of noise going on in the industry, in the space with these softwares. So recently, so you have the big leader, which is Helium 10. It's a app, it's a software, it's a Chrome extension that you install, and you can't really do product research without it. You can, of course, but it will you know, using software will make your work like 100 times faster or more efficient.
Yeah.
So obviously that's the best software out there because it's really giving the closest or most accurate numbers to reality that you can get, and it's very robust, very fast. So that's the tool we use. We also use a new tool. It's called Data Dive, which is kind of an extension for Google Chrome. I'm sorry, for it's an extension for Helium 10, but it's done through a guy called Brandon Young. I'm not sure if you heard about him, but he's really experienced seller.
Yeah.
He has a few brands, and he's teaching. And he offered this amazing tool that basically cut off like 3-4 hours of work for each product in like 2 minutes. So it's gather and aggregate data from many sources and show them to you in like real time. That's amazing tool to save time. And Amazon, I was just launched a tool called Product Opportunity Explorer, which is kind of competing with those tools. So
how good is that then? Would you say it's good, or would you say the other product's better?
So it's not really offering the best or all the options that Helium 10 or the other tools are offering, and I'm pretty sure they will not really show everything like the other guys do, because they will be much slower than, you know, a company that could launch it like the next day. But what is really exciting is the numbers. Those numbers, they are not estimates anymore. They are based on real data from Amazon itself. So that's a big game changer. And right now, you have to cooperate and just you know, cross-check between few tools to get the best decision.
Yeah, no, that's great. That's great. I think check those tools out, guys. I know a lot of you probably will already be using Helium 10, but I think that's exciting sort of development on Amazon's side as well, which is great. So our listeners are sitting here and they're thinking, do you know what? We're not doing enough on Amazon. Let's do it. You know, do you think Amazon FBA and Amazon in general is right for every e-commerce store? You know, is there certain benefits, you know, is certain SKUs better than others, certain products, certain size, physical size or price points, or is there certain industries that it works better for, you know, maybe certain industries that maybe it doesn't work for, you know? What would you say?
Great question. So I think for jewelry and fine jewelry especially, it's not the right platform. So everything that is kind of a little higher ticket price, you know, average selling price of like 1,000 and more, I wouldn't really risk sending ton of inventory to Amazon. That was one of our concerns. Who is going to be responsible for $1 million inventory I'm going to send to Amazon, where it's small rings, you know? Because we as sellers, we experience this a lot. You have a lot of lost inbound inventory. You had a lot of damage to the warehouse. It's a mess. You have to run after them pretty much. And with the higher ticket price, it could be very costly. That's why I think, to be honest, in Amazon, like fine jewelry is not that great. Like it's I don't think it's gonna work there for you know. Walmart, it's a little different. Any seller fulfilled, including Amazon, should work because you have more control. The inventory is by you. You don't have to put a lot of inventory. That's what I see. So definitely items on the lower range of price are good for there, because they are very impulsive buyers. They would go and buy anything that involve research and more digging, becoming less opportunity, in my opinion, on
Yeah.
Amazon, because that's when people starting to shop some other places and doing some other research on outside, on Google, on Shopify. When you have to spend $1,000, you don't care if you buy it on Amazon or on other website. You're
Yeah.
gonna do the research.
Yeah.
So that's what I see works great. The lower range items, like up to $100, works amazing.
Yeah. Yeah. And that sounds like well, definitely good advice. Obviously, less risk.
Yeah.
Obviously, the point of listing it on Amazon is that Amazon will sort of let them return it quite easily. So you've got probably a higher return rate potentially, depending on the type of product. Obviously, if it's got things that could go wrong in that product, or it's made up of different parts, the chances of higher returns. Obviously, the ideal scenario is that it's like the holy grail. You've got like 500% profit, you don't get any returns, and you've got the buy box. I guess that's where Helium 10 might come in and give you a few clues. So I think what I hear quite a lot is, we were doing so well with that product, so we were doing really well with this product, but then X happened, and that's whether somebody else came along and, copied the product, or, it dried up. But did it really dry up the sales? Did somebody else just jump in and you got pushed down? What sort of things can the guys that are already running Amazon and FBA particularly, what can they do to make sure that they're maintaining their sales and stopping sort of rot getting in there, and people coming in and sort of trashing their goodwill potentially? What are some of the things that they need to be keeping an eye on?
Yeah, that's a really amazing question, because first of all, it's setting the right expectations is important. You are an Amazon seller and you depend on them. You have less control than your own website or store, and that's what a lot of people not feeling comfortable with. So you have to really ask yourself first: I am comfortable with being suspended? I'm comfortable of being having my products attacked. If yes, then it might be good for you, but if not, maybe it's not right for everyone.
I think
I
that's.
know it might.
I'll just jump in. Sorry, but I think that's so important, because what happens is they rely on one channel, whether it's Amazon FBA, whether it's Facebook ads, whatever it is. And if that can get taken away from you, you've got to really think, what sort of business have I really got? So, you've really got to think. And I think the best advice would be, you want a selection of channels that are delivering. If one gets taken away from you, you can still pay your mortgage.
Yeah. And that's a really good point that you mentioned. So I think it's very important to do so. And it's also fine to not be comfortable with it, but still use Amazon to just, get capital, get cash, and then just diversify. So at my point in my life, that's not the only, but the main income channel for me. So I don't really feel comfortable having family and all of that, just putting all my eggs there. That's why I'm in the process of selling my business right now, and then basically taking it and doing it again, but with doing things a little different, more aggressively, and have more cash behind me. So that's for me. Everyone should really do it with themselves. One way to really protect yourself is basically do things the right way. Don't really do risky things. Don't do black hat, gray hat stuff. It's short-term success, and most likely you will get shut down eventually. So if you're entering into Amazon, you know that you depend on them, you don't want to get into trouble from the first place. So do things the right way, be compliant, TOS. Another thing which could help you really build something sustainable is get into markets that are having like high entry barriers. So for example, something that you have to develop a patent, something that you have unique components that are very hard to copy. That's what I do in most of the items that I bring. I bundle it with a lot of features. So new potential buyers, most of them, when they look at it, they say, "Oh, it's just too much work." And people in general, they're lazy. So you really have to look at it from that perspective. How I can add another layer that will scare more people, into entering into the market, pretty much.
Yeah, I think that's cracking advice. I think I agree. People are generally, they want an easy option. Fair enough. Whereas if they've got to invest 10 grand, 20 grand into tooling to create something that's unique, forget it. But then obviously that's going to give you a lot more longevity with that product, barriers to entry. You like to have more ownership over that for a lot longer. That's great. So let me think. So next question is the future. If we were sat here in 18 months and we're talking about selling on Amazon and, the Amazon machine, I'm sort of a hobby investor, and I've invested in Amazon a couple of years ago now, and obviously I want them to do well, but at the same respect, I obviously want the independent I'm a bit torn between two, because not because I sell on Amazon, but because I have shares in them. Nothing major, but sort of my hobby is very much investing on the stock market and funds and whatnot. So 18 months we're sat here where we've got you back on, Tomo, and we're talking about some of the new things that are maybe coming out or have come out by then. What are the things to look out for? What's coming in the future for Amazon, selling on Amazon?
Yeah, so I still think that they're going. So what happened the last year is that they rolled out so many features, whether that's within, for sellers. Whether that's tools to help you build a better brand. They're definitely going into having more sellers that building brands and less items like they had to before. And so definitely for new sellers and how Amazon going to look is more like brand oriented sellers and products that you will see there, more traffic to storefronts. So I see storefronts going to be big thing. It's already kind of big with ads that you can drive traffic directly to your store, and they will build pretty much features to support that. And definitely they're going to continue providing features in the Amazon advertising platform. This is something they will really rolling so many features on a weekly basis. You will get 2 or 3 new features. So that's really great. I love when they release so many features because it takes most of it. Again, the same point. Most people are like take them time to adjust and are kind of behind. But if you're really hands-on, you can utilize the new features before everyone else are using and really get quick, easy wins. And better control. That's, if I'm not wrong, for the last quarter, it's really made the highest profits for them, the Amazon advertisement platform, even more than AWS. So I'm not 100% sure about it.
Yeah, I think you're right. I mean, what I hear is a lot of people avoid it because they think it's not working, or not working, but there's just not a lot of functionality there. But obviously what you're saying is over this last few months, and very much so right now, they're rolling out different functionality, makes it better to really target your prospects, target the products, get better returns on your ad spend, or COGS as they call it. So yeah, exciting. I think Amazon and paid ads, we maybe need to do a separate episode on that, I think, because it's definitely coming down the line, isn't it? I know it's something we don't focus on as an agency, but I know agencies that do specifically do that, and they're growing at some pace. And
I really want to add here something, because this is really giving you more and more tools to compete with sellers that don't really know what they're doing, and that's a big opportunity to really market a product that's not necessarily the best product, but using great marketing, you can really have better exposure and sales than a product that is actually better and better price or quality. That's still really what's going on in the platform, and it's still going to happen. But eventually the best products will win. That's what Amazon wants you to bring, really quality products, and the algo will work with that. It's still not there. So still you can see products and items that are lower quality and higher price, they win because they know how to market better.
I guess it's like I guess a lot of businesses, if the ones that can sell and market do well, but do they last if they're getting a lot of returns? Obviously there's a whole balance there, isn't there? But okay, Tomer, that has been absolutely fantastic. Some absolute nuggets there. I always like to end every episode with a book recommendation. Have you got a book that you'd recommend to our listeners? A book on anything. It doesn't have to be Amazon. It can be anything whatsoever.
Yeah, that's my favorite book. I was reading it. I'm from Israel originally, and I was reading it in Hebrew, but it's The Alchemist, I think. Yeah, by Paulo Coelho. That's an amazing book. It really changed my life. I love books. So The Miracle Morning is another one, definitely to listen to. It changed my life. I would wake up at 4 a.m. to start this Amazon business because of this book.
Yeah.
That's the only time I had, and I was really amazed by how much you can get done in like 2-3 hours. It's really
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think
So
this is it. Those mornings are key, aren't they? I think, we've done a few episodes on routines and, that sort of getting things done first thing and having a good sort of structure first thing and waking up and knowing what you're going to focus on rather than mumbling around for 2 hours, having a real good structure in the morning. I think the morning miracle, my son watched that. He was only 12 at the time. Because obviously you're talking about the book, but obviously there is an Amazon program about the guy that created it on Amazon.
okay.
And my son watched it when he was 12, and he's obsessed with that whole process now. He wakes up every day, usually about 5:30, to be honest. And he's a 14-year-old. Most 14-year-olds you can't drag out of bed. And he has this routine, various different routines, but primarily, focused around the miracle morning of doing certain, 5 or 6 specific things.
That's impressive.
Before most of his friends have dragged themselves to school, sort of thing. So yeah, it's really good recommendation. So thanks, Toma. So for the guys that are with us, what's the best way to reach out to you? The best way to find out more?
Yeah, they can check my YouTube channel, which we discussed at the beginning. You asked me, you're not selling like a course or something. As oh no, I don't really have agenda. I'm not trying to sell anything. Just focusing on building something great with a lot of value. And it's Sourcing Monster. That's the YouTube channel. And people that want to email me, they can do it on either LinkedIn or it's tomer@sourcing-monster.com.
Yeah, fantastic. Well, we'll link that up in the show notes. Well, thank you so much for being a guest on eCommerce One. I look forward to speaking to you again soon. Thank you.